Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back again with another episode of Felons Talk. I can see nobody really enjoyed the episode yesterday. John considers himself a wise uh, and a spiritual being. I don't know why. I really don't. There's probably no less spiritual being on a planet than John, but you got to give him what he thinks, right? I promise I won't let him bore you with that shit ever again. Today I'm talking about a guy named Frank Gavenda. Frank Gavenda, if he's still alive, he's in his mid 70s, I guess. And I met him in Lewisburg. Actually, him and John Greshner are both uh, Minnesota state prisoners. They got sent into the federal system because they were doing too many crazy fucking things. And that's what happens when you fuck up a lot in a state prison system. Uh, they send you over to the feds because the feds got a place for everybody, you know. And usually when the feds send somebody to a state prison, it's because they've become too hot. They're too hot. People want to kill them. They're on the hit list. Somebody's trying to kill them. Usually a group like the Aryan Brotherhood or something like that, you know. And they can't go anywhere else, so they send them to a state. And that's why John's in Colorado. So anyway, there was another kid that was with them. There was three of them. It was John Rainey, who was a pretty mellow guy. He's passed away now. I understand he had liver issues, and I don't know about Frank Gavenda. Frank could still be alive, mid 70s if he is. I met Frank in Lewisburg, and what happened was first of all, there was a garbage truck escape, right? The guys got in the back of a garbage truck. That was Ronald Masick, and I think it was, I forgot the kid's name now, but they escaped in a garbage truck, right? Then the garbage truck broke down, okay? And they had to use a panel truck to get rid of the garbage, right? So what they were doing was they were just throwing the garbage into the back of the panel truck, right? So, and that's how they were doing it. And it was taking the place of the regular garbage truck that came in. And a friend of mine worked on the garbage truck. And his name was Aldo Lolin. He's passed away now. Good guy, bank robber out of Pittsburgh. And he came to me and he said, "Listen, man, there's a way to get out. You want to go?" He didn't want to go himself. He was bringing it to me. Me and this kid Frank Gavenda. He told me the kid Frank was going to put us in the back of the truck and just throw garbage on us. I says, "All right, fuck yeah, if I'm there, I'm on it. Fuck. That's what I do. I try to get away. That's what I was always about when I was very young." So I had to get there at around 2:45, right? 2:45. I had to get out of my job down in the laundry to get up there so that I could jump in the back of that truck with Frank Gavenda. But unfortunately, I was locked in the laundry and they wouldn't let me out till 3 o'clock. And when I got out, Frank had already gone. He was in the wind. He was gone for about 2 months, and they caught him and brought him back. Um, yeah, it broke my fucking heart, man. I probably would have got out and robbed a bank and got more time anyway, you know. But at least I would have got, you know, at least I would have had some fun, you know. And basically, it's a pretty short story. I really didn't, when I started making this video, I didn't really think it was going to be this short, but there really isn't much to it, you know. Yeah, I missed it by a few minutes, you know. But anyway, getting back to John, man, like, he tends to bore people, man, because he keeps repeating the same things over and over, and he really doesn't have anything to talk about. He really doesn't. His world is like this big, you know, and I don't think he knows how to come out of that world, man. I don't think he knows. And I've often thought, if I was to sit down and really talk to this motherfucker and just tell him, listen, bro, you're trying to do too much. You're trying to be too much. People aren't feeling this shit. You know what I mean? I don't think he would listen. Do you? Do you think he'd listen? I don't think he would. You know? I just don't think the guy would listen, man. You know? I asked him, I said, what are you going to do when you get out of prison? Mind you, he's been in for 56 years. He's going to have close to 58 years in when he gets home. And I think he gets home in about another, if it works out the way he thinks, and I think it will, he should be getting out in about another 18 months. What are you going to do when you get out? I'm going to become a zillionaire, he tells me. A zillionaire? How? Oh, I can't tell you. It's a secret. Dude, you're going to be on SSI. You know what I mean? What the fuck are you going to do? He's walking with a cane. He's never had a job in his life. I don't think he's had a girlfriend since, I mean, he was like 17 when he got locked up, right? I mean, I know he's got family out there that'll probably help him along a little bit, but how much can they do? You know what I mean? This guy's got to fend for himself. He's got to figure it out, you know? And I don't think he's really focused on that. So I don't know what to think. It'd be interesting to hear what what ends up happening with him. I mean, everybody likes hearing his war stories and everything, but nobody wants to hear that foolishness about, Zen Buddhism and all that, especially from a guy who's, not exactly a peaceful man. Let's put it that way. All that stuff that he spits out is shit that he learned, and he just spits it back out. Like he just he regurgitates it, and it sounds like really exceptional if you're hearing it for the first time, right? But when you know the whole story and it's like the 10th time you've heard it, you already know it's bullshit, right? And you wonder, what's this fucking guy going to do when he gets out? What can he do? You know what I mean? He's got a brain, okay? And he doesn't seem to be using it, I can tell you a quick little story about myself. We used to have an officer, I don't remember his name, but everybody called him Officer Friendly because he was a friendly officer. He wasn't a dick or anything. He was a pretty cool guy. Very easy to get along with. He ended up becoming the regional, North Central Regional pastor for the Bureau of Prisons. The North Central region is up in like Minnesota or something. Anyway, it encompasses Leavenworth and Oxford and all these institutions uh, in the uh, in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. So I guess he was a religious guy, so he became, the North Central Regional head of religious services for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. But while he was still a guard, this is back in the early 2000s, in my unit, I used to leave every day and I'd go out and I'd run 6 miles. It was I believe it was the spring, beautiful day out. I came back, I was turning in my rec pass. He said, what's it like? I said, man, it's a gorgeous day out there, man. I just ran 6 miles, boy. He said, really? He said, yeah. He said, that's great, man. He said, getting in shape, huh? I said, yeah, man, I go home in 2 more years. He said, wow, that's absolutely, I'm so glad to hear that, He said, how long, by the way, how long have you been in it? And I said, 27 years. You'd think I hit him in the face with a wet fish. He was stunned. He was like, what? Here's the greatest compliment I've ever gotten in my life. He says to me, I would never have thought that a man like you had spent that many years in prison. It touched me, man. It touched me. Because it told me I wasn't a piece of shit. What do people think of a guy who spends that many years in prison? That he's a hardened scumbag, that he's an idiot, or whatever. That never came into his mind. And that told me something about myself. Yeah, it told me I'm not a piece of shit. And one of the things that happened when I first got out, I thought I'd end up pushing carriages around in a parking lot at Walmart's. I didn't. My first job was as a salesman for a wireless company. And I began making a crazy amount of money because I was on commission. All right. I got out in 03. In 06, I was the highest paid salesman in the country out of 2,500, salesmen in the country. I was the highest paid, and I had made the company the most money. I was the salesman here, so I won 2 awards. I personally, this was in 06, I made $83,504.34 specifically. I remember that. It was the biggest, it was like, that's a lot of money. Of course, I managed to fuck that up eventually, right? Started using drugs again, Never works out. But anyway, yeah, 2,500 salesmen throughout the United States. I knew I was doing good. I practically lived in the fucking place. I didn't want to leave. I enjoyed the job. I'm a people person. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a good thing when you're a salesman. I think you need to be a people person. People relate to you. I want to know about you. What's your story? What kind of job you got? How do you like it? I'm interested in people. So I think that brought me a lot of success. Anyway, that's it for today, man. This has been another edition of Felons Talk. I think I mentioned earlier, man, people asked me about my murder case. I talked about it in previous episodes. I forget which ones. You got to watch them. leave a comment, ask a question. It helps the algorithm. And I'll be doing more shows on my own, man. And if John comes on, man, I'll try to harness his fucking instability, or whatever you call it, because nobody wants to hear that foolishness. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.